Mr. Bilongo, I was hoping you could come back into the conversation. You were speaking about advocacy and the issue of basic laborers, and maybe you could expand on what Professor Walton is bringing out. Mr. Bilongo, you need to.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So let me start by raising one point. The coronavirus outbreak showed an evidence. You know, considering migrants from third world countries, we noticed that on the way back home, in the attempt to get back home, most of those migrants in almost all the countries of the world were forced to coercive confinement. As they reached home, they were forced to coercive confinement based on the fact that they were believed to be carriers of communicable and lethal disease such as coronavirus. And in this case, these migrants ceased to be considered as sources of GDP increases and remittances, etc., etc. Now, we believe that based on that and the fact that at the national level we are in Italy, we work in Italy. At the same time, at the national level, for instance, in Italy, the undocumented migrants really had no attention from the authorities. I mean, undocumented migrants have no rights. They are not recognized as persons. They are not recognized as carriers of rights. And based on that, we initiated a very, very hard campaign, advocacy campaign, asking the government for an amnesty to legalize their position. Why? You know, if we consider in Italy we have about 700,000 undocumented migrants. It is not the 700,000 people. The number is not too high, but at the same time, 700,000 people are huge, you know. And if we consider the fact that most often they live in very miserable conditions due to the fact that they're exposed to exploitative labor, very low wages, and so on and so forth. We believe that the best way to get out of that condition was that of granting a residence permit to all those migrants, the undocumented migrants, because the first, so that they can first of all have access to medical care in case of infection, because you know undocumented migrants normally feel scared to get to public hospitals in search of if they are in need of health assistance. So the first thing was that of recognizing their position in the country, that they are they are in the country, and legalize their position. You know, at the same time, what happened here is that workers from Eastern Europe, we are an agri-food labor union. Workers from Eastern Europe, I mean, from Romania and Bulgaria. When the outbreak started in Italy, most of these workers went back home. No, they went back home. They went back to Bulgaria. They went back to Poland. They went back to Romania. And the outbreak also was there. So there was no way to come back to Italy to fill their position. And we had a shortage of labor force. We have a very huge shortage of labor force in Italy. And together with our campaign, the government decided to legalize the position of undocumented migrants. And the amnesty is also a very strong way to promote inclusiveness and integration, because we cannot continue to believe that some people may be excluded from the society, even though they contribute to the welfare of society, even though they contribute, regardless of their condition, because any one of us contributes to the GDP, any one of us contributes to the to the welfare of the national economy. And we cannot continue to consider those people as if they should be, they should be excluded from forever from interacting with the society. That's the aim of our advocacy. It was not easy. It was a very long process. We had to involve all the huge NGOs of the country. We have to involve top civil society leaders. We have to involve influencers, writers, journalists, top university lecturers, clergymen. We have to involve clergymen. We have to involve so many people, as well as common citizens. We have to involve universities. We have to involve a very large range of people, organizations, and institutions to support our advocacy. We published the appeal. We wrote an appeal, a letter appeal. That's how we call it in Italian. A letter appeal to the head of state, to the prime minister, and to the government. To consider the situation of these undocumented migrants, most especially in agriculture, in the agri-food sector. We had another fact. People were forced to remain at home, and somebody should work in such a way that this food security of those people at home should be guaranteed. And who was performing that work? Undocumented migrants. So we just raised the point that they should be considered as heroes, because working and living in those conditions with the coronavirus outbreak, they have to be considered heroes. And the only way for the society and the institution to recognize them as heroes was to legalize the position, was that of an amnesty. And it is currently going on. It is already 9 days that have been going on. It is going on.
Thank you, Mr. Bilongo. I think they are heroes indeed. I agree with you full-heartedly. I think that this also speaks to being attentive to the diversity of people that we're talking about, and also in some ways the diversity of solutions and sort of people that we need, and organizations we need to bring into the fold. Let me turn things